Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Right now at 4:30, breaking news in Durham. This is a live look at the scene from the WRAL breaking news tracker on the scene of that deadly shooting. What we know about the victim and the investigation at this hour.
And we still have our two hurricanes out to sea, and they're moving away, but there'll still be some impacts for today. I'll show you when we'll finally see these moving away.
And voicing an opinion. Today, students are gathering to support a professor who has been put on leave. What organizers are calling a suppression of free speech. We have that story and so much more to get you started on your Wednesday morning. Thank you so much for joining us here. I'm Michelle McConaughey. Let's get back over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We were talking about Imelda and Umberto, now way out to sea.
Yes, they're way out to sea, and we'll continue to head that way. Bermuda's right here, and Bermuda may have some fairly significant impacts from Imelda. And of course, Umberto's brought us some significant impacts on the Outer Banks, which we'll talk more about coming up in just a little bit. In the meantime, we're looking at much less rain than we saw yesterday morning, and there's not much more in our forecast for today. So dual Doppler 5000 radar, fairly quiet. Don't be surprised if you see a little sprinkle. Notice we have a little wave that wraps around potentially at some point during the morning and brings us a little sprinkle. Once we hit lunchtime, that should be the end of that, and gradually we'll see some clearing. Now, Futurecast still has some clouds through the evening commute, but we'll likely see the clouds at least thinning, if not beginning to, clear completely. Our rainfall, of course, once we get past today, is at 0 all the way through the weekend. We take a live look through downtown Raleigh, and the streets are drying out nicely. It's pleasantly cool at 65, and our dew point has already dropped into the mid-50s, which is wonderful. It should be a nice, comfortable day for today with highs in the mid-70s. We'll talk more about some chilly mornings ahead coming up.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Following that breaking news in Durham, police are on the scene of a deadly shooting. They say it happened on Lathrop Street near Holloway Street just before 12 o'clock this morning. Ali Calabar is there in the WRAL breaking news tracker. And Ali, police there still trying to piece together what happened.
Within the past hour, Michelle, we've seen officers and forensics team gathering evidence behind me. There's the Durham Mobile Command Unit, Durham Police Mobile Command Unit out here as well, trying to figure out what led up to the shooting. And here's a closer look of where this all happened. Again, Lathrop Street. Durham police confirmed that a man was shot and killed just before midnight. Listen to this. We spoke with a neighbor who was in his car in his driveway when this shooting happened.
I'm like, gunshots, fireworks. I'm like, nah, these ain't no fireworks here. And so I lean back as far as possible. Thankfully, I wasn't in the crossfire, but they're like right next to my car.
Very scary moments there. Again, we're trying to figure out the identity of the person involved. Again, a young man was shot and killed. We're also trying to figure out what led up to the shooting. We're going to keep you updated. Reporting live in Durham, Ali Calabar, WRAL News.
And you were looking live from Capitol Hill this morning as a government shutdown is now in effect as of midnight. This is the first government shutdown since 2018. Congress has been negotiating for weeks on a funding plan, but as the deadline got closer, they struggled to find a final compromise, and Republicans failed to get the 60 Democrat votes they needed to pass the bill. When it comes to health care, Democrats want to reverse Medicaid cuts and stop enhanced Obamacare subsidies from expiring.
We need to stop these premiums from going up dramatically.
They're arguing a December policy debate for a September funding issue.
Lawmakers are expected to be back in session today to keep discussing a stopgap funding bill. And as a result of the shutdown, federal agencies officially stopped receiving money this morning. The Congressional Budget Office estimates about 750,000 federal workers face furloughs. In North Carolina, 200 state employees have been furloughed as a result. Thousands of federal workers will stay on the job without pay until a bill is passed. We are working to find out how many more people may be impacted here at home. So what will not change? Social Security checks, those will still keep coming in, and the mail will still arrive. VA medical facilities and clinics will stay open. SNAP benefits will stay in place for at least 1 month. And we are trying to learn new information after a vehicle crashed into a mobile home in Wake County overnight. This is video here from the WRAL breaking news tracker around 11:30 off of Old Stage Road near Lake Benson. You can see what looks like some of the damage left behind. The car was being loaded onto a tow truck. We spoke to neighbors who say they felt the impact in their home next door. They say they worried the homeowner was hurt since the car crashed into her room, but they say she is okay. And now they want more to be done to stop these frequent crashes.
Yes, this has been happened multiple times already. A lot of neighbors got damage on their trailers already, and we were trying to see if somebody can build some other type of protection, at least to the people who live on the side of the street.
Neighbors also tell us they saw what looked like deputies helping the driver out of the car and then being taken away in an ambulance. Highway Patrol says there were injuries, but it is unclear how badly anybody was hurt. We've reached out for more information. New this morning, a group of UNC students and faculty plan to rally today in support of a professor. The school placed Dwayne Dixon on administrative leave after he was accused of advocating for political violence. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live in Chapel Hill this morning with what we know about this. Kelsey.
Yes, Michelle, that rally is scheduled to happen here on campus later this afternoon. Dwayne Dixon teaches Asian and Middle Eastern studies here at UNC. Organizers say that putting him on administrative leave is suppressing free speech. Now, in a statement, Dixon said that the action taken against him goes beyond a single person, saying this is an issue that affects us all. WRAL reported on Dixon in the past, including 2 arrests at protests. In 2018, he was charged with assaulting someone during the toppling of the Silent Sam statue on UNC's campus. That case was dismissed. A year before that, Dixon was accused of carrying a semi-automatic rifle during a protest. Those charges were also dropped. Several websites have tied Dixon to a far-left group. The rally starts at 12:30 this afternoon outside the South Building. That's where the school's chancellor's office is located. We have reached out to UNC for a statement about the rally. We're still waiting to hear back. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Chapel Hill.
And this morning, we are working to learn what led up to someone being shot with a pellet gun in Anger. Anger police say they got a call about a disturbance around 7:30 last night in the parking lot of the Charlie C's IGA. That's off North Raleigh Street. When they got there, officers learned someone had fired shots with a pellet gun. We're told the victim had very minor injuries. Police have charged the suspect with assault with a deadly weapon. We've reached out to Anger police to find out who the suspect and the victim are. And a man is facing multiple charges after a missing child was found in Cumberland County. This all started when deputies in Columbus County got a report about a missing child on Monday in Whiteville. They say their investigation took them to an apartment complex in Fayetteville where they found that child. The child was taken to the hospital for treatment. Deputies arrested and charged Brian Riley with crimes against nature, indecent liberties with a child, and kidnapping. The sheriff's office says more charges are expected to be filed against him. Time is running out for Governor Josh Stein to sign into law or veto new crime bill passed by the state legislature. The governor told our NC Capitol team that he still has not made a decision. Last month's deadly stabbing on the Charlotte area transit system inspired state lawmakers to pass a bill with stricter rules for bail and to restart executions. Stein says he is not convinced this new bill will actually stop crime, and he'd like to see more investments in addressing the root of crime and mental health.
It's an immensely complicated subject. How do we promote public safety? And I want to make sure that the law is making us safer instead of making us less safe.
The bill passed largely along party lines. You can learn more about what is in it at the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com. A federal judge is upholding North Carolina's redrawn voting districts. A group representing black voters filed a lawsuit saying the Republican majority engaged in racially motivated gerrymandering. Specifically, they said the new maps intentionally split up counties where the majority of registered voters are black to dilute their electoral power. The judge, who is a Republican, said there wasn't enough evidence that race influenced the district lines. Well, school will resume as normal today after a fight at Durham Magnet Middle School. A school resource officer had to use a taser to break up the fight. The sheriff's office said the fight broke out around 11:30 yesterday morning at Southern School of Energy and Sustainability. It involved at least a dozen people. Nobody was hurt. The sheriff's office is looking into whether any charges will be filed. The officer's use of a taser will be reviewed, which is standard procedure. And this morning, we are working to learn if charges will be filed after a car and a school bus crashed with children on board in Johnston County. A driver was taken to the hospital. This was the scene on Pollock Street in Selma yesterday, where that car collided with the bus. 9 students were on board, but they were not hurt. The road was closed for about an hour. It is not clear how the driver of the car is doing. There have been several Johnston County school bus crashes this week, including 2 on Monday. Coming up, ending incentives. A program to get more electric cars on the streets is coming to an end. The risk to the climate by turning away from green energy. And the countdown is on for the NC State Fair, when you can expect to learn about the food lineup. That's later today. Plus, that fall weather returning. Here's a live look at Fenton and Cary. Just ahead, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner shows you the mornings you may want to grab that light jacket.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
444, we still have 2 hurricanes out here in the Atlantic, but not for much longer. Umberto is likely to weaken considerably for today. And so, of course, the impacts along our coast and locally will also decrease today. Right now, we're not looking at much in terms of rain. You might run into a sprinkle. We definitely have cloudy skies as you're heading out the door. But our chance for rain is 20% up until around 10 o'clock, and then we'll take it back down to 0. We will end up with some gradual clearing late today, but we may not completely clear. Probably a lot of folks holding on to at least some clouds through the afternoon. 66 in Wilson, 65 Durham, 67 in Fayetteville. Today will still be a little breezy, similar to yesterday, not terribly windy. Our temperatures this morning will be in the mid 60s. We'll climb into the mid to upper 70s this afternoon. Probably don't need to worry about sending the kids out with their raincoats or their umbrellas. We'll talk more about how breezy it'll be through the afternoon coming up.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. In brand new testimony, the man accused of setting a Virginia city councilman on fire told investigators that he did it because the councilman was having an affair with his wife. Shotzi Buck Hayes faces attempted first-degree murder charges. He's accused of setting Danville City Councilman Lee Vogler on fire back in July, leaving Vogler in the ICU with life-threatening burns. A co-worker of the councilman said that Vogelman answered a knock at the door, then told him to call 911, saying he poured gas on me.
So he indicated he set someone on fire? He did. Okay. Did he indicate where that was, why that happened?
He did.
What did he say?
He stated that he had set the person on fire who had had an affair with his wife.
July 30th.
Hayes' case is set to be presented to a grand jury later this month. If convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. In Fayetteville, a family is embarking on their journey toward home ownership. Today, Habitat for Humanity will hold a groundbreaking to mark the beginning of construction on that home, and that begins at 11 a.m. And tonight, you have a chance to help shape Raleigh's budget. The city is holding listening sessions to hear how residents want their tax dollars spent. There's also a budget priority survey open until November 30th. Tonight's session is at Chavis Community Center on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. That's from 6 to 7:30. 5 more sessions are planned this month. A program to encourage people to buy electric vehicles is ending. A Biden-era initiative allowed people to receive up to $7,500 for buying an electric vehicle. Today, that money goes away. WRAL climate change reporter Liz McLaughlin has more on what the changes mean for drivers and the local EV market.
EV sales surged in recent weeks as buyers rushed to lock in that tax break. Now the question is whether the region's booming EV sector can keep its momentum without it. A new report from the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy and Atlas Public Policy shows EV sales are climbing across the Southeast, along with rapid growth in charging stations. Automakers are also investing billions, like Toyota's new battery plant in Liberty, North Carolina. But with federal incentives gone, the affordability of EVs is now front and center.
The reality is a lot of the market was being driven more by other factors, the quality of the vehicle, the utility of the vehicle, price point, range, et cetera. So that's part of the reason I don't expect the sort of bottom to fall out of the market. But certainly losing the $7,500 tax credit for the vehicles that were eligible is going to have an impact.
Experts say automakers may cut sticker prices or offer better financing to keep buyers interested. And with battery production scaling up in the region, costs could come down further over time. North Carolina doesn't offer a state EV credit, but there are perks: access to HOV lanes, exemption from emissions inspections, and a Duke Energy rebate for home charger installation.
Starting today, you now have more options if you think you have the flu. Under an order from Governor Stein, you can now get tested for the flu at a retail pharmacy. If that test comes back positive, the pharmacist can treat you for it without sending you to a doctor for a prescription. This applies to anyone ages 5 and older. The move is intended to expand access to care in communities without urgent care or other clinics. Well, the countdown is on for the North Carolina State Fair at 9 o'clock this morning. We will learn which new foods to expect this year. We will have all of the details on your deep fried favorites as soon as the information is released. Watch our website for the complete list. I mean, I go to the fair for the food. I don't know about you, Elizabeth. I know that you like to do those food taste tests every year as well. It's just so much fun.
It is so much fun, and they're so creative. Some of them are like really wild and way out there, but I think that's the fun of it. Hopefully we'll have some beautiful weather for the fair. It is just around the corner. We're going to start to see our pattern changing today, but slowly. We'll still have the chance for some patchy drizzle. It'll be breezy at times like it was yesterday. Most of the coastal impacts will be along the Outer Banks today, but those also will start to diminish today as well. This is a look at where Hurricane Imelda is right now. It's moving northeast 17, so picking up some forward speed and heading right across Bermuda. Bermuda is right there. Right now it has winds at 85 miles per hour. So it continues to strengthen. We'll follow its path, again, taking it right over Bermuda as a Category 2 storm. So they're going to definitely have some damage there. And then we take a look at Umberto, not likely to be a hurricane much longer. It has 80 mile per hour winds. Probably by the end of the day, it will have lost all of its tropical characteristics. We'll still see it showing up on the satellite image, but it just won't be a tropical system anymore. And it will also continue to move away from us. Of course, yesterday it was closer and a fairly large storm, so it was having some major impacts along the Outer Banks. We're going to take a closer look at that in just a little while, but 5 homes along the Outer Banks fell into the ocean yesterday because of the heavy surf and the overwash. Here's what happens as we get through the day today. Here's Imelda, and there's Umberto as we get through the afternoon. Umberto really starts to fall apart, and Imelda just continues its trek off to sea. This morning, we're looking at the potential for just a sprinkle or two. It's not going to be much rain that we end up seeing today, just an isolated shower or two. Looking at downtown Raleigh, we're mostly dry right now with a pleasant temperature of 65 and our dew point in the mid-70s. In the mid-50s, I should say. Our winds about 5 to 10 miles per hour, but may become gustier this afternoon, up to 20, 25 miles per hour. Again, that's not enough to do any real damage. Over the next couple of days, we're going to see a nice drop in our humidity. Tomorrow, Friday, Saturday will really feel very pleasant. It's going to be great to get outside for the weekend. Lots of festivals happening. We'll be watching for the chance of a shower or a sprinkle on Sunday. Right now, for Sunday, we're looking at maybe a 20% chance of a shower. But once we get through tomorrow, we're looking at a lot of sunshine heading into the weekend.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. The Nanny's new star, Fran Drescher, was honored in Hollywood. A look at that celebration. Plus, Reading Rainbow returns, the iconic children's show making a comeback. How the updated show will be different.